then do both. Thank you. Both local and international. So let's say you have a 20% in international shares and your 40% in local equity. Then you have a 30% that you can put in bonds. That also can still be spread in your government bonds as well as your corporate bonds. Then you can say 10% in real estate through the real estate investment trust, and you invest that amount of money. So you'd have spread your risk there, meaning should the shares be doing fine over a certain period of time, you will benefit from the growth or what's happening in the equity market at the time. And should at the same time something terrible happening, let's say in the bond market, let's say the interest rates or the coupons are not as favorable, you're able to still have cushion from the equity side of things. So you're not losing out on both sides in as much as one is not performing well. That's the idea of diversification. So it's just you're not putting your eggs in one basket. Then in terms of education and research, one needs to do a lot of research. Equip yourself with the knowledge about the financial markets. We have different products in the market, so conduct research before investing. There are a lot of products also in this market, so ask a lot of questions, do a lot of reading, visit a lot of licensed investment advisors or brokers who can give you an idea of what's pertaining in the market. Do as much research as possible before you make your investment. Okay. So long-term perspective, as because we are focusing on youth, and as a young investor, we would advise you, or we would encourage you rather, to adopt a long-term investment perspective. So meaning you're adopting a long-term investment horizon, which allows you as a youth to ride out the short-term market fluctuations and capitalize on the power of compounding. So let's say you've made your investment in a bond, and every 6 months you do receive your coupon payment. You're able to reinvest that money, that interest that is paid to you. That's just you capitalizing on compound interest. So you reinvest it and not just spend it. That way you're growing your portfolio. At the end of the day, and because time is on your side, you'd have accumulated wealth in the long term. And then also avoid knee-jerk reactions to market volatility, and stay focused on the long-term financial goals for crucial building of wealth over time. So a knee-jerk reaction is simply meaning that you're not reacting to everything that's in the market. Don't react in a predictable way. Like, don't react without thinking through the decision or thinking through the consequences of that decision. Yeah. Then also maintain a separate emergency fund with sufficient liquidity to cover unexpected expenses or financial setbacks without having to liquidate investments at unfavorable prices. So in as much as you are investing, you need to take note that you have to have an emergency fund, because life still happens. Doesn't mean because you are investing, then life stops happening. We will have funerals, you will have illnesses and whatnot. So you should still have funds to cater for the everyday eventualities and unforeseen eventualities of life. Okay. Then for risk assessment, you always need to assess your personal risk tolerance and align your investment strategies accordingly to help you. That way you avoid taking on more risk than you can handle. And as a youth investor, we are encouraging you also to just assess your risk tolerance. Find out whether you are risk averse. You assess your appetite. Are you risk tolerant, or are you one who wants to stay away from very risky products? Once you do that, and another way you can best assess yourself, or rather do a risk assessment of yourself, is you seek professional advice. Like I mentioned in the beginning, if you speak to an investment advisor, usually they will do an assessment on you, and they'll be able to help you identify which side of the coin you're falling on. So you be able to be assessed, and then you can make your decision based on your risk tolerance. Then also you need just to stay informed about the market developments and regular review of your portfolio's performance. Keep checking how your portfolio is doing. Don't invest and walk away. Check regularly on your investment. Ask for a statement every now and then so that you're monitoring whether this investment that you've made is still working for you. Okay. I have a tip for you. Tip for the day. It says dollar cost averaging. So this is you invest a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, regardless of market conditions. So this is where you are using the dollar averaging, where investors, you lower your average cost per share and reduce the impact of volatility on your portfolio. Okay, so over a period of time, you keep investing regardless of the market conditions. You keep investing in small intervals, and it's a fixed amount of money. It doesn't need to be a big amount. That way, you're just going to cushion yourself so that even during good times, or is it bad times, you're still going to maintain a certain portfolio in the market of your investment. Okay. And they're also just mitigating the risk of investing a large sum at a single time at an unfavorable time in the market. For more information on this particular tip, please visit an investment advisor. Okay, so one of the things that we focus on most, because of what's been pertaining in the market, is fraud and scams. So as a commission, we are quite passionate about this because we do not want people to lose their hard-earned money. And even during the just ended Financial Literacy Week, one of the topics or the tips was how you can avoid fraud. So in most cases, we have talked about this, even in a town hall, what you can do to avoid fraud. But then today I just want to talk a bit about what a scam looks like, okay? How you can fall prey to a scam. So firstly, there's what is called a hook, which plays on your fears and your desires, let's say money, love, etc., just different things. So the hook it's preying on your vulnerability. So scammers identify your fears, your desires, or your need, and craft a scenario that appeals to you. This could be the promise of quick money, winning the lottery, or resolving a debt crisis, or even a romantic connection. As youth, I know you are probably looking for different things. You're looking for money, you're at different stages in your life. You could be looking for a life partner. So all that can be used against you just to hook you to a particular scam. Okay. Then there's urgency. So this one creates the pressure to act quickly. In most cases, scammers will come to you and give you very little information and pressure you to make a decision to go ahead and invest. So you have the limited time offer, and the scammer will quickly ask you to make a decision. So this will create panic and cloud your judgment, making you more likely to make a rash decision. Okay. Then the third one is trust. So in most cases, people who are scamming you can pretend to be very legitimate, okay? So this could be a company that you know of or an official. They'll use testimonials of your friends or your religious circles they're preying on the fact that you can trust this source. Excuse me. And they can even impersonate different people for the sake of just getting your money. So they might use a fake website, use a prominent person that you know of, who you think has actually made it according to, let's say, your standard or someone you're looking up to. All that can be used against you. And then another one, like I mentioned, they'll use testimonials and reviews. They'll fabricate testimonials that make it look like it actually worked, and yet it's not even working. Okay. Then exchange. A scam also works on stealing your money or your information. Okay, so extracting money or information, ultimately the scam will aim at getting something from you, which is often your personal information, your money, personal information such as passwords, your credit card details, and this could be through upfront fees or money transfers or clicking a malicious link. And control. A scam usually keeps you engaged, keeps you hooked onto it. So meaning they have a certain hold on you, and they'll make sure that they prevent you from verifying information, and they could involve isolating you from trusted people who can advise you, for example, licensed investment advisors or brokers. Then they create a certain sense of secrecy. So you feel you need to keep what you're doing a secret. And that way you're not able to get help for it. So they cut you off communication from other people, and you fail to reach out for help. So one of the key things you need to do is do not engage, disappear from, do not engage the scammer. In most cases, once they lose that control and that hold on you, they will leave you alone. And don't forget, when you do get scammed, always report. Okay. So I'll just get a bit deep into the scam now. We are going to dissect a scam on WhatsApp. This is an example of what it can look like. Okay. So as we know, WhatsApp has got over 2 billion users every month, right? So the scammer will work on this, will send you a message such as what you're seeing on the screen right now. It says, please don't miss out an opportunity, a business opportunity called Financial Conduct Authority. It's a very genius and legitimate paying platform. Many people are using this and whatnot. But if you see this, if you look at the sentence, it's missing certain things. You need to look out for red flags, okay? So you're going to see that it's got typos. The grammar is not right because it used an AI translator, which doesn't translate from, let's say if it's a foreign language, because in most cases you find the scam was generated in a certain language, then it's been translated to English, and the AI translator loses certain things. So that's a way of you identifying the scam. So that is something you can look out for as something being fraudulent. And then also they'll ask you to join WhatsApp groups, WhatsApp links, and then here's an example of a WhatsApp link that you could be asked to click. If you click on that, you'll find that it's actually just leading you to somewhere else and not something legitimate, or not even something that's talking about the business that was being sold to you in the first place. Okay, then we also have another example of a Telegram. So on Telegram, we also have certain messages that come on, and this is one of them. It will tell you, my heart is overflowing with gratitude because I made over $5,000 weekly on Forex trade. And this has made me realize how lucky I am to be part of this revolution. So when one sees this, especially our youth, you are easily hooked and you're thinking, I can make $5,000 a week as well. So you quickly click on the link, but you'll find that it's not legitimate and they'll end up stealing your personal information. So please be very careful. Again, some of the red flags that you're looking out for are spellings and grammar mistakes. The emphasis for you to trust this source without verifying. There's the promise of instant wealth. All that is something you need to just be wary of. So the way a Telegraph message comes, after a few days, it will be deleted. So if you did not engage, you didn't click on it, it will be deleted and it will look like this. It will say deleted account. Okay, so that's an example of what a scam will look like on Telegram. And if you give it time, you'll be able to identify it because it will be deleted and you cannot be responding to a deleted account. Okay. So we're now going to, so once you become a victim, anybody can fall prey to a scam and you become a victim to this. It doesn't mean you are, what can I call it? Or you're a bad person or something like that. No, it doesn't. Scams happen to the best of us. So we just need to be wary. So one of the reasons why we do get scammed is because we have got limited knowledge. So if you're unfamiliar with something, the scams tactics, they might be more easy for you to be, you might fall easily for this because usually scammers use sophisticated schemes, and if you have limited knowledge, you will fall victim to this. So we just need to make sure that, like I mentioned earlier, you do your research, get an education of what this product is about before you invest in it, okay? Yeah. Usually, again, people who fall victim to scams are people who are vulnerable. Let's say you're facing a financial or recent loss, you may be more receptive to offers that promise quick fixes or an emotional connection. So also just check your state of mind or emotional well-being before you can engage in something, especially online kind of promotions. Okay. Then also limited access to resources. Most people who fall prey to this are people who lack access to reliable information on different things that you may, or different products that are out there. So this could be due to limited internet access or living in a remote area or language barrier that makes it difficult for you to verify information and seek help on a particular product. Also, the desire for something easy. So in most cases, we like shortcuts in life. You find as a youth, you do not want to work, or you want to earn a quick buck. You don't want to put in the work. Usually you're being sold a dream, and this dream is not real. And because you think it's easy, it's easier for you to do that and not to actually work and earn the money. Yeah, you fall prey to a scam. So the desire for an easy solution can cloud your judgment and make you overlook the red flags. Then again, urgency or excitement. So people are feeling pressured by time, like I mentioned, where you're being told to invest as quickly as possible. That again clouds your judgment. So you quickly get into this product without looking at the pros and cons properly. And again, we have the last one is having a trusting nature. So individuals who are naturally trusting, you find it difficult to say no, you may be more likely to fall and become a victim of a scam. Okay, so here are some additional things to remember. So when something is too good to be true, I think this is something we've said time and again in the different town halls that we've hosted here. If it's too good to be true, then it probably is. Okay, so please do not put your money where you're being promised 5,000 in a week, $5,000 in a week after you've given a 500 kwacha or something like that. That's too good to be true. You should be asking yourself, where did this person invest in order for them to make such a huge return in a very short period of time? Okay, then also just be wary of unsolicited contact, people who contact you on WhatsApp. Sometimes you do receive these messages from, especially if you're in groups, you find somebody then inboxes you from another country asking you for ABC. Just be wary of such. So never share your personal information or any financial details readily until you verified the source. Take time to verify the information before responding to any offer. Also, if you suspect a scam, report it to the appropriate authorities. So if it's something in the financial markets, you can report the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Bank of Zambia, and the Pensions and Insurance Authority, because the three are regulators of the financial markets. Then also seek emotional and mental support if you've been scammed. It's not a shame for one to be scammed. It simply means you have learned and you can do better next time. So do open up, and you never know, your experience can help the next person. This is where my presentation ends. We'll now take questions of the team.
Thank you, Sitali, for the presentation that you have made. I have equally learned so much about the aspects of investing and also being wary of scams. Without much ado, anonymous attendee has asked a question in the chat section. How often is the investment advisor training course? How often does it happen in a year? The investment advisor training course. That's the question from anonymous attendee.
Okay. I'm not quite sure how often it runs, but I know there's one that's running currently at the Zambia Institute of Zambia, the former ZBIC. There's one that's running currently, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it does run about twice in a year. There's one at the early stages of the year, like the beginning, like now. Then there should be one later on in August, around there. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you for the feedback study on that one. Also, in addition to that, I think we shared the flyer for the time that it had opened, the registration period. I think you can refer to also that flyer on our Facebook page. And there's also a contact detail on the same flyer. So if you have any further information, you can also call the contact details on that flyer. Okay. I think there's another, should be another question. Yeah, there's another question. Mr. Philip Chitalu, or actually it's a response. So Mr. Philip Chitalu has stated that it runs at least 4 times, once every quarter, but also depends on demand. That's the response from our CEO, Mr. Philip Chitalu.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions with regards to the presentation that has been made? Please feel free to lift up your hand or ask a question in the chat section. Simon Souza, I see you. You can please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Sitali, for the presentation. I was following, and I think the CEO, Mr. Chitalu, has clarified. I was raising my hand earlier. So the stockbrokers course takes place at the Zambia College of Pensions and Insurance Trust, of course, formerly ZBIC, but now known as ZCPIT. And yes. Yeah, and it takes place at least every 2 months. If all is going well, at least there's one. If not, at least one per quarter, as Mr. Chitalu mentioned. So I just thought that should clarify that one.
Thank you, Mr. Souza, for the clarification there and insight. If anyone would like to ask any other question, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, there is a question from Yvonne Zulu in the chat. Where can I get information on the Zambia stock market and how it operates? That's the question from Yvonne Zulu. Where can I get information on the Zambia stock market and how it operates?
Okay. Thank you, Yvonne, for the question. So to get information on the Zambian stock market, you can visit the LUSE website. Situation, if you can just post the LUSE website in the chat. So you can visit the LUSE website and it will give you information on how the market operates. You can also visit the different brokers that we have. They also have information on their various websites on how the market operates. You can likewise visit the SEC website and just get information of the structure of the market as well. I've seen another question, which is saying, who can take this course? I'm assuming you're referring to the stockbrokers. The college does have a minimum requirement, one of which you must have completed your grade 12 and pursuing either you must like a degree or any other business course that you would like to add this course to. Thank you, Sichone. Any other questions? Sichone, any other questions?
Oh, pardon me. So sorry, I was on mute there for a second. There's another question from anonymous attendee. The person asks, what is the minimum investment amount? I think this is in reference to the stock market, because their comment comes right after Yvonne's Zulu's question. Hello?
Okay. So for who can take the course, Mr. Souza, who's on the call, could you also just guide us on what the minimum entry level for the minimum entry qualification is for the course, for the stockbroking course, before we get to the minimum investment amount? Hello, Mr. Souza, are you still on the call? Okay. So while he respond. So for the minimum investment amount, different brokers have got different amounts that they will ask you to invest. So just visit our website when you can contact any of the brokers that are listed there to advise you on what the minimum investment amount is for investing. Thank you, Sichone. Any other question?
Yes, there is another question. Anonymous attendee, once again. Hi, I joined in a bit late. Kindly advise what are the ideal investments for youth in the current economy?
So anonymous attendee, thank you for the question. Like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, you need to do your research, find out what investment products are in the market, and then you do a risk assessment on yourself, either as an individual or with the help of an investment advisor. Then you'll be able to know what is ideal for you to invest in the economy, currently in the economy. All products all the available products are open to youth and adults alike. So there's no restriction as who can invest where. Thank you. I hope that answers your question. I've seen another question from Chim Kamwinga asking, is there a readily available information as to when listed companies pay dividends. So for this one, I'll give it an attempt, then I can ask somebody from the supervision department to just assist. So the different listed companies have got different dividend policies. So the dividends are paid according to their policies. If it's a quarterly, if their policy states that they paid a quarterly dividend or a half-year dividend, or just one dividend, which is an annual dividend. Okay, but then this information, you can find it from the transfer secretaries of the different listed entities. Anybody from supervision to just assist or add to that? There seems to be nobody, but like I mentioned, please just contact the transfer secretaries for the different listed entities. They will be able to advise you when dividends are paid for each particular company. Any other questions?
Yeah. Okay, there's a question. Mlove Taulo says, does SEC also monitor shares sold by companies that are not listed on LUCE?
No. So we only monitor shares of or that are registered with the commission and listed on the stock exchange. So not, maybe just to clarify also, not all shares, not all securities are listed on the exchange, but for as long as they are registered with the commission.
I see Mr. Chitalu's hand is up. Please, sir, you may go ahead and.
Okay, maybe just to, I think very lovely and very good informative presentation, like Sichone said, we have all learned. Maybe just to add on what Sitali said regarding the last question, do we monitor? It's a yes and no type of answer. No, to the extent that Sitali said, we concentrate most of our resources on the those companies whose shares or securities are registered with the commission. I think that's one of the primary concerns or mandates. But then we also do market surveillance to see if any company is selling any type of instrument that appears to be a security to the public, then we become interested and sometimes concerned. And more often than not, we could get involved in such a transaction, because then it exposes those investors putting money in such securities at a high level of risk, because you're putting your money into somebody's business that you are not aware of. If you were to read the Companies Act, it limits shareholders to 49, something like 49. So which means if you have 52 shareholders, you become a public company. So the law does recognize that the higher the number of investors, the more risk it becomes. And thus, most of the governments want to control the behavior of such a company for investor protection purposes. So it's a yes and no type of answer. So our surveillance gets to see if you publicly advertise or become aware that you're selling shares, would want to know what type of a business you are. I thought I'd just add that, Sichon and Sitali.
Thank you, Mr. Chitalu.
Thank you, Mr. Chitalu. And we have a question from Chimuka Mwinga. You mentioned corporate bonds during your presentation, Stanley. And Chimuka Mwinga would like to know, how are they bought?
How are they?
How are they bought?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you buy bonds through your bank. You buy through your bank, or you can open a CSD account through the investor portal on the Bank of Zambia website that you can then purchase your bonds through.
Another question from anonymous attendee, which states, when do we expect ETFs to be listed on Luce?
I don't know if we have Mr. Bruce on the call. He can
Okay,
take
I can
that.
attempt, Sitali. Exchange traded funds or ETFs, or for that matter, any type of security that goes to the market should be championed by the market. But our market development segment of our regulatory mandate also gets involved to some extent in promoting new and innovative products. So we have the law, we have the rules. Now it's up to the market to see that somebody takes it up. We, in our 10-year development plan, what we call in the capital markets master plan, these are some of the developmental products that we ought to see. But we are aware that a number of brokers are looking at the possibility of hand-holding somebody to register a security or ETF. Remember, the Securities and Exchange Commission does not list anything. We regulate, but we encourage the markets and sometimes promote specific products after a lot of assessment that they go to the market. So when, I hope soon, but it will be very, very difficult to answer that question because we currently, I doubt whether we have any application for an exchange traded fund. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you very much, CEO. I've seen another question asking, where do I find a list of insurance brokers? So for insurance brokers, you need to visit the PIA website, that is the Pensions and Insurance Authority website. Then for stockbrokers found in the capital markets, you can visit our website, that is the SEC website, as well as the Luce website that Sichone has posted in the chat. Sichone, any more questions?
We have a question from Joshua, who asks, what's the difference between corporate bonds and government bonds? Do we evaluate corporate bonds like we do government bonds? I repeat the question. What's the difference between corporate bonds and government bonds? Do we evaluate corporate bonds like we do to government bonds?
Could I help that one as well?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just don't understand the last part of the question. Do we evaluate? Probably the person has to clarify. But the difference between government bonds and corporate bonds is actually in the name itself. Government bonds are issued by the government, or in most of the countries by the sovereign. And in Zambia, like in most of the countries, government bonds are issued through the central bank. So the central bank is just an agent for the government. The central bank is not the entity that gets the money or the proceeds from the sale of government bonds. It's the government treasury. So government bonds like the name suggests, issued by the government. Corporate bonds, on the other hand, as the name suggests, are issued by corporates, like these are companies. Largely, the existence of capital markets is to ensure that corporates get to raise long-term funding through the capital markets. That's the primary objective of capital markets. Yes, governments do raise, but in most instances, government would still raise funds even if the capital markets did not exist in the manner that we have in Zambia. So corporates versus government, that's a major difference. In terms of economic impact, government bonds, they raise money, pay teachers, policemen, do a bit of infrastructure. Corporates usually go into what we call the real economy, where an agricultural company, for instance, raises funds to expand their farms or buy tractors. I hope I've answered.
Thank you, Mr. Chitalo, for that feedback on the difference between corporate bonds and government bonds and their said impact on the economy. I can't see any new hand raised, but there's a question here from anonymous attendee. Actually, it's a statement, but the first part of it is a statement. Thank you very much for this insightful presentation. Was the question on the minimum investment amount addressed? I'm behind on that. Your comment, please. I repeat, thank you very much for this insightful presentation. Was the presentation on the minimum investment amount addressed? I am behind on that. I would like your comments, please.
Yes, I did attend to that question. So I mentioned that for you to know the minimum amount that you can invest, different brokers have got different minimum requirements. It's like you're opening a bank account. So different banks have got a different minimum amount that they will require you to have in your account as a starting point. So the different brokers that we have listed on our website will be able to advise you what is their minimum requirement in terms of opening a brokerage account or the minimum that you can invest in. But I must mention that there's no restriction to how much you can invest. And there's no requirement really as per se, but what can guide you can even be just the stock price of a share that you're interested in. If it's a 2 kwacha, if it's a 3 kwacha. So depending on how much you want to put in, that's your minimum. So, but please do visit the website for the broker's contact so that you can get clarity in how much is required.
Okay. Thank you, Sitali, for that feedback to anonymous attendees' question. With that said, we were looking at time. Time is 15:58, which is 2 minutes away from 16. As you may be aware, our town hall meeting is for 1 hour. Unless there's another question that we can take before we wrap up, either by show of hand or you can type in the chat section. Okay, I think we'll go with anonymous attendees question. The person asks, how then are the risks associated with shares? How are the risks associated with the shares mitigated?
That's a loaded question, huh?
Yes,
let me put it this way. It's a loaded question in the sense that most of the companies, not most of the companies, all companies are affected by the normal systemic risk factors. For instance, let me extend my agricultural company hypothesis. If there's a drought like the way we have, and if it's located, if the farm in which you have invested is located in the southern part of the country, you already have a risk that if they're into maize, they're growing, that they may not get the maize. And that's how profits are made, right? Profits are made from sales. So if I can't get the maize to grow, germinate, or grow to maturity, then that's the business risk. There are also risks that you grow the maize and then everyone grows maize, so there's oversupply, so the price goes down. So the share price should ordinarily reflect the performance of the company. So the risks are mitigated by what Sitali said, portfolio diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one company. Spread, so that if one company falls down, maybe another company has gone up and are going up on a trajectory. So that's one of the risk mitigating measures. So if you have some shares in an agricultural company, some shares in a mining company, copper prices are going up, maybe that could help you mitigate some of the risks. But on a semi-annual basis, companies are required by law to publish their financials. Read the financials. Make choices. Do you still need to continue in this business, or can I sell my shares and move the money to another company? So that's also part of risk mitigation. So you sitting down, like Sitali said, with a broker, assessing your risks, they could probably help you craft or come up with a portfolio that mitigates risk. It's basically monitoring the market and making decisions that gets to help you protect your investment. I think that's part of the story, but over to you, Sitali.
Well said, Mr. Chitalu. Thank you so much for that. I think, like Sichon has said, we have come to the end of our town hall. And the time allocated is an hour, and we have exhausted the hour. But Sichon, I would like you to just share the map of our new location. Would just like to inform the public here, our audience here, that the SEC is moving to plot 5475, corner of Great East Road and Livala Road. So that's our new location as of April 2nd. So if you've got any further questions, please feel free to call in or write to us or visit our offices on plot 5475, corner of Great East Road and Livala Road. Sichone, you can share the map on the screen. Thank you. Sichone, are you there? Are you able to share the map?
Yes, just give me a second. It's just a small delay in the...
Okay.
Yeah.
So another question. This is responded. What's that?
Mute your mic, Sichone.
Oh, sorry.
So the red spot there is our new location. That's right opposite the East Park, the flyover bridge going to the east of town.
thank you all for coming for our town hall, and please be reminded that the presentation will be shared. Enjoy your weekend and happy Easter to you all. Thank you.